As humans, we tend to occasionally make things harder for ourselves. We put ourselves down, we allow others to determine our worth, and we lack confidence and think negatively. We really can be our own worst enemy. Well, sometimes video games take this concept and make it a bit too literal. How many times have you been playing through an exciting adventure, defeating villains and gigantic boss creatures left and right, only to finally be faced with someone that looks all too familiar? It's a trope that can make for some memorable moments and lots of lovely symbolism, if you like that sort of thing. For this video, we're taking a look into the mirror and highlighting games that challenge you to face yourself. Whether it's an exact replica or a version of you that's been twisted in something evil and disturbing, expect to see clones, doppelgangers and lookalikes of the video gaming world arrayed before you. Oh, and we're not counting mirror matching and fighting games, or we'd be here all day. I'm the one-of-a-kind Ashton from TripleJump, and here are 10 times you fight yourself in video games. Number 10, The Legend of Zelda. Throughout the Legend of Zelda series, Link's various incarnations have overcome numerous dangerous creatures, gigantic monsters, and nefarious evildoers, but none more enigmatic and menacing than the shadowy version of himself. Known as Dark Link, this unsettling entity first showed up in the Game Boy Advance remake of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, but is far more famous for its 3D appearance in Ocarina of Time. Here, Dark Link is encountered in the already infamous Water Temple, and is apparently born of Link's reflection in the water. It's a tough fight, with Dark Link gradually becoming more aggressive throughout, and possessing an uncanny ability to dodge Link's attacks. Dark Link continues to show up throughout the Zelda series, and the worst thing about him is that he's never really been given an explanation. Ganondorf is scary and all, especially in giant pig form, but at least we know his deal. Dark Link just seems to appear menacingly and without context, red eyes glinting with evil intent. Heck, even Toon Link gets his spooky counterpart in the Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks' Take 'em All On minigame in Castletown. Nothing like a chibi-style embodiment of the evil that dwells in our souls to really mess with your head. Number 9, Mass Effect 3, Citadel DLC. Commander Shepard has been known to face some intimidating foes across his or her galactic adventures. Ancient insectoid evil queens, super dangerous advanced techno assassins, and 1 or 2 eternal cosmic robo-squids are all on the list of potential Spectre victims. In the Citadel DLC expansion for Mass Effect 3, however, Shepard finally has to face the most devastating and effective force in the entire galaxy, him or herself. While the Citadel DLC offers lots of missions and side activities for the Spectre and their companions to enjoy during their shore leave, there's still a dangerous conspiracy going on behind all the arena fighting, casino shenanigans, and home decorating. This conspiracy seems to stem from a mysterious figure whose face and voice are hidden behind advanced digital disguising techniques. Sure enough, this turns out to be a clone of Shepard, created by clandestine galaxy-spanning organisation Cerberus, when they brought the commander back to life at the beginning of Mass Effect 2. Shepard and clone Shepard eventually do battle, with poor version 2 Shepard falling to their death in the end. There's also a nice little correlation between the famous real-life practice of cloning sheep and the fictional futuristic practice of cloning shepherds. You know, shepherds, sheep, forget it. Number 8, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror was a Game Boy Advance exclusive platformer released in 2004 that tells the story of the titular pink blob as he explores an evil world created by a magical wishing mirror. Considering the setting and the game's inclusion on this list, I think it's pretty clear where this is going. But just in case you've not been paying attention, we're talking evil Kirby, people. I know it doesn't seem possible, does it? But this monochrome version of the spherical mascot will turn up during levels and attack Kirby. Like any other enemy, he can be sucked into Kirby's cavernous maw, giving our spherical hero access to powers he'll need to progress. In the end, though, it's revealed that Shadow Kirby is just misunderstood. He was just fighting to protect his mirror world from interlopers, and eventually allies with Kirby to save the day. Once the big bad is defeated, Shadow Kirby joins regular Kirby and the other Kirbys of various colours, it's complicated, in a victorious star ride, and then waves them off as they all go home through the magical mirror. You see, even a sinister shadowy Kirby from a horror dimension can't be evil. He's just such a wholesome little all-devouring formless abomination. Number 7, Silent Hill 3. From cute, happy blobs to grim, relentless horror now, as we discuss the terrifying version of herself that Silent Hill 3 protagonist Heather has to face. In this third entry into the Silent Hill series, players step into the shoes of teenager Heather Morris, who becomes wrapped up in a sinister cult's machinations to bring about the birth of an evil god. Heather's disturbing double is faced in the otherworld version of the Lakeside amusement park, on a filth-encrusted merry-go-round complete with twitching corpse horses. Known as the Memory of Alessa, the creature looks exactly like Heather, except it possesses dark hair as opposed to Heather's blonde bob. Oh, and she also appears to be rotting, and lots of her skin is falling off. Just another minor distinction. The explanation for all this is that Heather is actually a reincarnation of Alessa, who was originally intended to bring about the birth of the new god. And this horrific psychic imprint of Alessa is trying to stop the evil cult's plans by destroying Heather, her reincarnation. It's complicated, but basically the rotting mirror image of the protagonist is actually a force of good in her own way. Just like Shadow Kirby! I mean, the tone is slightly different, but everything else checks out. Number 6, Secret of Evermore. The player-named protagonist of SNES RPG Secret of Evermore is a teenage boy who must explore different eras of the world of Evermore with his trusty canine pal. Said hound accompanies the hero through various time periods and changes his shape to reflect the ambience. Throughout the adventure, the protagonist must face shadowy copies of himself. These mostly show up in the dark forest area of Gothica, the medieval part of the game, and seem to be formed of multiple small goblin-like creatures. They use all of the hero's moves and attacks, and will throw some of the player's alchemy spells back at them, making them dangerous foes. One more shadowy version of the protagonist will show up during the game's final battle, in the futuristic space station known as Omnitopia. The player character is far stronger by now, and the clone has the same stats as the originals, so is easily dispatched. All good, right? Nope, because the protagonist's dog, now a futuristic robo-dog, has also been given the doppelganger treatment. And this mimicking mongrel has stats and hit points appropriate for the endgame. How dare they turn man's best friend against me? Making evil clones of me is one thing, but evil clones of my dog? You have crossed a line, Secret of Evermore. Number 5, Streets of Rage 3. Over the course of the original Streets of Rage trilogy, things got gradually more out there. The first game features mainly street thug and martial arts enemies, with the most fantastical element being how they got the police car on that boat. The second game adds a sprinkling of sci-fi with jetpack-equipped bad guys and some rare clanky robot boys towards the end of the game. Streets of Rage 3 tears down all semblance of reality, with cyborgs, combat kangaroos, brains in jars, and more. One such extravagance is the Axel clone that is fought at the end of Stage 3. This bad guy matches the moves and appearance of Streets of Rage frontman Axel Stone, but has one heck of a health bar, and gets disconcertingly redder as he takes damage. This ex-cop impersonator is actually the final boss if you're playing the game on easy mode, meaning that players who want to get to the bottom of why they're fighting Mirror Axel will be left disappointed unless they're willing to take on the game's significant challenge. Still, once fake Axel's robotic endoskeleton is revealed, even easy mode players can make a decent educated guess as to what's going on. Franchise big bad Mr. X has clearly gotten mixed up with Terminators now too. Number 4, Tomb Raider. By the time you get towards the final stages of the original 1996 Tomb Raider, you might start to notice that a lot of enemies are lacking a certain something. Their skin, to be exact. As if these regular meaty monstrosities weren't disturbing enough for Lara and her young fans to face off against, the game had another surprise up its sleeve. Looking like someone fused E.T.'s head onto Lara Croft's body and then got the skinning knife out, this disturbing and gangly creature will mimic Lara's moves exactly and cause harm to Lara if she decides to, as any right-minded person would, unload a clip of handgun ammo into it. Smarts are required to defeat this disturbing Lara clone. Only by using clever manoeuvring will players be able to trick the thing into falling through a trapdoor into the lava below. Hold on, if hitting the thing with bullets hurts Lara, why doesn't dropping it into lava? Truly the mystery of the Atlanteans is deep and complex indeed. Lara clones do show up later in the franchise too, but these tend to go with shadowy versions of our tomb raiding icon, instead of the original's unsettling theme. We think Super Meat Lara is a far more disconcerting prospect. Number 3, Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door. If there's one thing that we have learned from researching this video, it's that Nintendo loves an evil doppelganger. Mario alone has faced his fair share, including the shadowy villain in Super Mario Sunshine and the intergalactic clones that appear in Super Mario Galaxy. Those cosmic lads don't really do anything though, and while the Super Mario Sunshine clone does manage to get our movie star plumber into trouble, we'd say the mustachioed doppelganger from Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door is the most memorably duplicitous of the bunch. This imposter is encountered in the creepy steeple, where Mario and friends defeat an odd ghost-looking fellow with a party hat. He proves to be a somewhat anticlimactic boss fight, save for his curious ability to change into a shadowy form of Mario towards the end. Long story short, this mysterious version of Mario is actually Mario, and the ghost, a being called Duplice, has taken on Mario's colourful form and proceeds to parade around as him, being mean to Mario's friends and enjoying the adulation of various NPCs. This complicated affair isn't going to sort itself out without a fight, and in a visual subversion of how these things often appear, this time it's the actual Mario who's a shadowy clone. They don't prepare you for this sort of thing in plumber school. Number 2, Prince of Persia. In the original Prince of Persia, released all the way back in 1989, the player controls an unnamed protagonist as he attempts to save a princess from an evil, power-hungry vizier and wizard called Jafar. Yes, we're quite aware that sounds very familiar, but it's different, and Prince of Persia actually got in first. Anyway, the hazards standing in our hero's way include various devious traps, sword-wielding guards, and, you guessed it, a shadowy doppelganger. This copycat will first appear fairly early on, when the protagonist has to pass through a strange mirror to continue. A shadowy fellow will run back the way you came, and that's that, right? Of course not. This duplicate is finally faced towards the end of the game. Unsurprisingly, his attacks and feints mirror your own, and he'll be able to read your moves, deftly blocking and dodging your strikes, and even sharing your health bar. Sheath your sword, and your doppelganger will do so as well, enabling our protagonist to merge with his dark half, finally becoming whole again for his final showdown with the evil Jafar. No, I already said, not that one! And number 1, Elden Ring. Massive 2022 action role-playing game Elden Ring is renowned for its plethora of mighty bosses. Ranging from gigantic dragons to guys with gigantic dragons on their arms, these foes are enough to test the skills of even the most experienced player. Throughout this long, difficult and harrowing adventure, you might come across something called a mimic tier, a more specialised version of the more common silver tier enemy. These gelatinous blobs of metallic goo are found in a couple of locations throughout the game, and are able to take on the form of their opponents. This results in an optional boss fight in which players must face an exact replica of their own character, complete with the weapons and armour they have equipped in intense one-on-one combat. Except, people quickly figured out a way to cheese this particular encounter. The mimic tier's propensity to exactly copy the player is easily exploited if you know what's coming, and you can unequip all of your stuff outside of the boss room and then quickly re-equip it at the beginning of the fight. This dishonourable tactic results in a battle between a fully armed combatant and an identical one armed only with fists and a plucky can-do attitude. Poor little thing. At least now I know why they call it a mimic tier.